There's a spirit in those drums. People believe that it comes from the Creator. They saw that we were having a hard time, so they gave us a drum to bring our people together. The drum is the heartbeat of our nation. My name is Dave Hookimaw. I'm originally from Attawapiskat, Ontario, the reservation up there. I became a drum keeper and started looking after the drum, and I've been doing that for years. People are different, particular with how they want their drums made. Eh? Some people want them thick, heavy. Some people want, traditional style Ojibwe drums. Some people want to use the fluffs, and they want that ding, 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 a little bit lighter. Some people want to use that heavy boff, 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 boff. Kind of like a contemporary style singing. And then you have the original style singing, like the original. It's like a higher beat, higher tempo, the drum. Ding, 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 ding. The hides come from animal. Buffalo, moose, steer, even cow, and elk, deer, anything that creates a hide. They would string it up in like a frame, and then just scrape the flesh off. There's a certain membrane in the hide on the inside and on the back. And if you take those membranes out, that hide is not going to be as strong. We try to keep the membranes off and just lightly take what's on top, lightly take on top, on the bottom, so we don't totally scrape it. So what that does is when it hardens like a rock. And then you soak it in a big tub. You fill up the tub and you let it soak and keep pushing it, shoving it in until it's fully submerged. And then usually take about 2 days, 3 days, 3 days max. Because if you start doing it for 4 or 5 days, 6 days, it starts to stink, starts to rot. And when it's loose like that, it's easy to handle. Try to use up this hide too. You can just spread it out on the floor and take your drum and cut your measurements out for your tops. At the beginning, we started making our own drums, like the hide drums and all that. There were some guys around the drum that were making octagon drums, and I was watching them, and if we need a drum, I just find a rim somewhere. Back then, it was just the rims from commercial drums, and those rims are about maybe just little rims, and I put hides on them and stuff like that. That's how it started. Okay, that's the first piece. Now we're gonna do a second piece right here. So what do you got? What I'm looking for is somewhere where there's no holes, where I can cut a nice piece, round piece. Some of this here, where it looks like that, it's kind of the weakest base at the point right now, because when it stretches even more because I don't know why, but this is basically what I do. Every time I make a drum, this is what I go through the process. There's no other way, easier way. If there was, I'd be doing it. Okay, and you always cut the lacing. I always find the thickest part of the animal where I do the lacing. It's just all it is just cutting. It's just time consuming, but the after product is what you want. I think this is good enough. Then I tack the tops on. People use string to keep because if you're by yourself, you can't, sometimes they get lopsided. When you're a beginner, you don't know how to, looks lopsided. So what I do is I tack it in all four corners so it doesn't slide. So I kind of just eyeball where I want the edges to be. So I kind of measure it with my own eyes at the same time.
So it's even all the way around kind of thing. All that will tighten up anyway eventually. Sometimes when you just have to keep going back and making sure that everything looks even. Once that's done. Okay, we're gonna get started here with the wrapping. What I do is I use a real sharp knife and I just poke it gently. Just like that. Just enough to get through. See how thick that is? And I made a hole right here on this side on my leash. And then
I don't just go up and down. I use out, over, up, over, like that kind of thing, like a figure 8 on the ones that I make anyway.
I put it through here like that. This will be my anchor point right here. Okay. I want to kind of put it at an angle like that, so going back and forth. So I'll just making out a hole down here, about maybe an inch circumference, and come back around this way like that. What you do is before you come in, you make another one right here. About an inch, just like that, and you just basically just come through like that. This is the tanking part, and this is just pretty repetitious work. And this is just the beginning. This is the lacing, and then there's the tightening and the ending part after. I love doing this work because I don't know, I just like doing stuff that I enjoy doing. Like, I enjoy singing, and I enjoy making a drum for a group. And then, see what I mean when I talked about that whiteness? That white part, that's where the kind of like a weak part is. So you don't want to do it too tight there, right? When we tighten it, see what I'm doing? I'm angling them the same as I'm going. What you're looking for in a drum is the sound, the quality of the sound. Doesn't matter how it could be the ugliest thing in the world, but you know what I mean? But if it doesn't have that sound, I've seen drums that are so ugly, but they have the best sound that people want. Dum, 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 you know?
Once I'm done wrapping it, I tighten it a few times, depending on how tight you want it. Flip it around, tighten it one side, flip it around, tighten it again.
Well, usually you talk to the guy that's owns a drum or who's going to be sitting around the drum and say, how tight do you want it? Do you want it tight or do you want it loose? What kind of singing are you doing? That's not really necessary, but I mean, the tighter it is, the higher the pitch, and your voice carries a little bit with the drum, eh? When it's tight like that, you got the air waves, dong, 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 you got these waves, right? You can't see them, they're invisible, but it helps with your voice, believe it or not, you know what I mean, to sing.
I always think about the weather. It gets damp in the summer. You know, sometimes it gets damp and drums loosen up too much. In the wintertime, the drums get too tight, you know what I mean? So it fluctuates all the time. Nobody can really tell because of the weather we live in. This is just reality. I did a lot of drum trial and error, and sometimes drums turn out, sometimes they don't. That's just the way it is, that's the way it goes. Sometimes the drums will last a year, 6 months. Something happens to it. It's too tight, or they're keeping it in heat and it snaps, or it's too thin, you know, in some spots. Or it could last 10 years.
So once this is all done like Here, what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that it doesn't flare out. This is usually the highs flares out and it stays out, and when hard it stay in. But I want them in like that, so I tape them. I force them in, kind of thing. And then when it's time to dry, it might take about a week to 2 weeks, depending on where you're drying it.
We lost a lot of our identity. We lost a lot of our culture. We lost our language. We were suppressed. And only now we're starting to reclaim what we lost. I continuously teaching people. We're trying to encourage young people to come with us. You know, we're trying to teach them the songs. They always want to ask me to do workshops on how to make drums and drum workshops. Talk a little bit about where the drum come from and that kind of thing. The songs, why the songs we sing all sound the same. To some people that aren't trained, they're not trained in that area. They think that all the songs sound the same, but they're not. The songs are a language in itself. Songs are accents. They have different accents, and that's what determines how a song goes. And there's all kinds of songs. There's memorial songs, there's birthday songs, there's powwow songs, everything. There's a song for everything, and those songs are given to people. It's like a gift. I give you a song, kind of thing. You come to my reservation, or my area, my territory. They share songs, and they go in turn take those songs somewhere else, and they sing them over here. It's very powerful, and I've seen a lot of people utilizing culture to benefit their lives, enhance their lives, with true healing. And it's all about healing. It helps us to stay strong and be who we are. Keeps me grounded, keeps me, I know who I am, I know where I come from, I know what I have to do, and that's who I am now. I've been a full-time singer all my life since that day. I never stopped, and I'm 56 now. I'm still singing.